Welcome back to our special coverage of Raisina Dialogue 2026. We are now being joined on NewsX by Lord Karan Bilimoria, Member House of Lords, the United Kingdom. Many thanks for speaking with us, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Welcome back to India, of course. Good to have you back. Let's just talk a bit about India UK ties, where you see things headed. Of course, your Prime Minister was in India recently at a very positive meeting with Prime Minister Modi. Spent a deal of time over here with his delegation, meeting a lot of our businessmen as well. Where do you see ties headed, sir, in 2026?
What is wonderful is the way that the free trade agreement, which negotiations started in January 2022 when I was president of the Confederation of British Industry, and I'm proud to have been the first Indian to have held that role. We started negotiations then. It took 3.5 years before we concluded them in July last year. In fact, I was in Italy and I got a phone call in the evening saying you're required at Chequers, the Prime Minister's country residence, tomorrow at 10:30. So I caught the earliest flight, got there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew over, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, they signed the free trade agreement. Great news, because let's put this in perspective. UK, sixth largest economy in the world. India, fourth largest economy in the world, soon to be the third largest economy in the world, and by 2060, the largest economy in the world, in my prediction. And yet, India is only the 11th largest trading partner of the UK. It should be one of the handful of biggest trading partners. Now, with this free trade agreement, I think that bilateral trade in goods and services, which stands at about just over $50 billion today, will double to $100 billion by 2030. It's going to turbocharge trade, business, and investment between the two countries.
Absolutely, and we're certainly hoping for that. Which are the other areas of convergence you see between the UK and India that you believe we can certainly work much more closer towards?
Absolutely. And this is a very special relation. Of course, it's an ancient relation, 400 years going back to 1614. But it's more than just trade and business and investment. It is about education. Indian students, along with Chinese, are the largest international students in the UK, and we have the best universities in the world along with America. And we want more and more Indian students to come to the UK. We also want British students to come and study here in Indian universities. We've got British universities now being allowed to set up campuses in India, foreign universities, and the British universities are front of the line, with already well over 10 of them started or going to start campuses from Delhi to Mumbai, all over the country. Wonderful news. Then you've got to take it one step further. If we are true trusted partners, which I think we are, then it's about security and it's about defense. And we already have exchange of officers at courses at the Defence Services Staff College here, Royal College of Defence Studies in the UK, joint exercises, Army, Navy, Air Force. We should have much more, including in defence manufacturing, because the UK has some of the best quality defence manufacturing in the world with companies like BAE Systems, with submarines and aircraft. That's where we can partner with India and manufacture in India as trusted partners to the benefit of India and to the UK.
It took a long time for the deal to fructify. Of course, as you said, you were one of the principal architects to start it, being, of course, head of industry there, and being also a member of our Indian diaspora. How soon before we see it being implemented and the benefits come on ground for the companies concerned?
In spirit, it's already up and running. What we have to wait for is the official ratification by the UK Parliament, and that will happen. And then, of course, the things like tariffs, the huge tariffs of 150% on whiskey and cars will drop. So that's round the corner. But all the other things are going on, the mutual recognition of qualifications, one-year master's degrees, the most popular course for an Indian student going to England is now recognized here. Foreign lawyers, British law firms, the best law firms in the world can now soon be able to practice in India. So all that is happening. And the point you made is very important. One of the biggest strengths of this relationship is the almost 2 million strong Indian diaspora, if I'm proud to be a member, in the UK. It's the largest ethnic minority community in the UK. But more importantly, and I say this with pride, and I boast, it is the most successful ethnic minority community in the UK by far. We contribute to the economy multifold our proportion to the population of just under 2 million people out of 70 million people. And the Indians are reaching the very top in business, in politics, in every sphere you can imagine, professional services. Some of the biggest banks are run by Indians, law firms, the most prestigious investment bank in the world, Lazards, is run by Zoroastrian Parsi Cyrus Kapadia, an Indian. So, there is no end to it about how well the Indian community is a model immigrant community integrated into the UK, all over the UK, contributing to the UK and being a living bridge between the United Kingdom and India and being permanent ambassadors for the relationship.
Let me also now ask you about, of course, the big topic that is also finding a lot of significance at this forum, which is the Middle East conflict. We've seen, of course, US and Israel strike Iran. Iran is retaliating. There's, of course, chaos in a lot of Gulf and Arab countries as well. How do you view this conflict? Where do you see it headed? And how do you also react to the position that the UK has taken through your government on the war?
Sadly, in fact, going back again to when I was president of the Confederation of British Industry, in February, exactly 4 years ago in 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. And that war is still on 4 years later. The horrific, tragic loss of life and all the injured individuals, it's awful. I wish that war would stop. But when that war started, immediately it destabilized not just Russia and Ukraine, but the whole world. The UK was hit immediately, even though we didn't buy gas from Russia, countries like Germany did. Energy prices rocketed. UK, which has an inflation target of 2%, our inflation went up to 11%. We don't get double-digit inflation in the UK. Energy prices rocketed. So it affected consumers, it affected business, it affected our economy. That's the problem with conflicts, is they don't just affect the countries involved directly, it affects everybody. And then we had the problems in the Middle East since 2023, and now we've got the attacks on Iran. And exactly what happened with Ukraine is happening over here, that the Straits of Hormuz are a very important route for 20% of the world's energy. And if those are blocked, supplies are blocked for the whole world. Even countries like that do not buy directly, India gets affected, we all get affected. And what is also worrying about this conflict is Iran has retaliated not just against Israel and American bases. They've attacked so many of the Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, including Jordan, including the UAE. And that is extremely worrying. We hope it doesn't escalate. On the other hand, the Iranian regime, the whole world is united. It is one of the most monstrous, oppressive regimes in the world for nearly 50 years, suppressing their population. The way they treat women is absolutely appalling. The way in which protests just recently, 30,000 people were killed, people were tortured. They are a nasty regime. They have sponsored terrorism around the world, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's the Houthis, whether it's Hamas, whether it's their own terrorism directly around the world, which has affected countries like the UK. If Iran were to get a nuclear bomb, that would be hugely alarming for the whole world. And the tragedy of it is that the Iranian people and the Iranian country, if they were freed, if they were to have a free democracy, it would be one of the most powerful, influential, flourishing countries in the world. And if only that could happen.
The US, interestingly, if we talk about the US president, he's been critical a bit about your government, though, not being so proactive in allowing him to use bases, saying we're not dealing with Winston Churchill here. How do you view that statement?
The UK and the USA are long-standing friends. You just historically, whether it's the First World War, whether it's the Second World War, we've always stood side by side. And even now, the UK is playing a role, in a defensive role, in helping. And we will always be friends. There's no question about that.
Final question then to you on the economic costs, because you understand that as a businessman. Are you worried that there are going to be a spurt in oil prices, in energy costs, in ramifications of this war in terms of economic cost of it as well? Because trade stands to get affected, supply of logistics stands to get affected. Are you worried that a prolonged conflict will lead to economic costs and ramifications?
Well,
And is that already happening?
I'm chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce, the ICC UK, and we're regional coordinators for the ICC Europe. Trade is so important globally, and especially for a country like the UK, which is historically a trading nation. Let's just go back to the Ukraine war. When that started, it affected supply chains, it affected energy, it affected oil prices. Oil prices then went up to over 100. They're already now, because of the Iran attacks, going to 90, and they will keep climbing. Supply chains are getting affected. Inflation is going to start. There's no question about it. And we've had the disruption of all the tariff wars, which started in April last year as well. So, from a business point of view, this is a very challenging environment because business craves certainty. And at the moment, we've got the most uncertain environment globally you could imagine. So, it's not a nice situation. This is where countries like the UK and India need to work more closely than ever as trusted allies in this fragile, uncertain global environment.
Thank you very much for your time, Lord Bilimoria, and enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you very much.
With journalist Dinesh Uday Pratap Singh in Delhi, NewsX.